Evelyn sat on the edge of the bathtub, staring at the small white stick in her trembling hand. She'd taken dozens of pregnancy tests over the past few years, each one more disappointing than the last. But this time felt different. Her heart pounded in her chest as she watched the seconds tick by. Suddenly, 2 pink lines appeared. She blinked, not trusting her eyes. Could it be? She squinted and brought the test closer to her face. The lines were still there, clear as day. "Oliver," she shouted, though he wasn't home yet. Her voice echoed in the empty bathroom. "I'm pregnant. Oh my God, I'm pregnant." She clamped her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Evelyn had dreamed of this moment for so long. She couldn't wait to tell Oliver. He would be ecstatic. Evelyn took a deep breath and composed herself. She needed to plan this perfectly. Oliver deserved something special after all they'd been through together. She grabbed her phone and dialed her sister Sarah. "Hey, Evie, what's up?" Sarah answered cheerfully. "Sarah, you won't believe this," Evelyn said, her voice shaking with excitement. "I'm pregnant." "What? Are you serious? That's amazing." Sarah's voice was filled with genuine joy. "I'm so happy for you. How did Oliver react?" "He doesn't know yet. I just found out, and I want to surprise him. Any ideas?" Sarah was silent for a moment. Then she said, "Why don't you cook his favorite dinner and tell him after? Make it a special night." Evelyn smiled, wiping away tears. "That's perfect. Thanks, Sarah. I'll call you later with the details." She hung up and immediately started planning. She decided to cook Oliver's favorite meal, roast chicken with rosemary, garlic mashed potatoes, and green beans. She wanted everything to be perfect. Later that afternoon, she went shopping. She wandered through the baby section of the department store, her heart swelling with joy as she looked at all the tiny clothes and toys. She picked out a pair of adorable baby booties, imagining Oliver's reaction when he saw them. Back home, Evelyn set the table with their best china and lit candles to create a warm, romantic atmosphere. She slipped into a delicate lace nightgown, feeling more excited and hopeful than she had in years. As she put the finishing touches on dinner, she heard the front door open. Her heart leapt with anticipation. She quickly checked her reflection in the mirror and took a deep breath. "Evelyn." "Something smells amazing," Oliver called from the hallway. "In here," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Oliver walked into the dining room, his eyes widening at the sight of the beautifully set table. "Wow, what's the occasion?" he asked, a smile spreading across his face. Evelyn walked over and hugged him tightly. "I just wanted to do something special for you." Oliver kissed her forehead. "You're amazing. This looks incredible." They sat down to eat, and Evelyn could barely contain her excitement. She watched Oliver enjoy his meal, waiting for the perfect moment to share her news. After dinner, she handed him a small gift box. "I have something for you." Oliver looked surprised. "What's this?" "Open it and see," Evelyn said, her heart pounding. He carefully untied the ribbon and lifted the lid. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, were the tiny baby booties. Oliver's eyes widened as he looked up at Evelyn. "Are you?" he stammered, his voice filled with hope. Evelyn nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes, I'm pregnant." Oliver's face broke into a huge grin. He jumped up and pulled her into a tight embrace, spinning her around. "We're having a baby," he exclaimed, his eyes shining with tears. "I can't believe it." Evelyn laughed through her tears, holding him close. "It's true. We're going to be parents." They stood there in the dining room, holding each other, overwhelmed with joy and gratitude. After years of heartache and disappointment, they were finally getting their miracle. The days leading up to the big night were a whirlwind of excitement and nervous anticipation for Evelyn. She wanted everything to be absolutely perfect. After all, this wasn't just any dinner, it was the moment she would share the most joyous news of their lives with Oliver. Evelyn spent the entire morning preparing. She went to the farmer's market to pick out the freshest ingredients. The roast chicken would be seasoned with rosemary and garlic, just the way Oliver liked it. She chose the most vibrant green beans and the fluffiest potatoes for mashing. As she walked through the market, she couldn't help but smile at the thought of Oliver's reaction. Back at home, Evelyn set to work. She marinated the chicken, peeled the potatoes, and prepared the green beans. The kitchen filled with the comforting aroma of roasting chicken and garlic. She hummed to herself as she worked, a melody of happiness that seemed to flow naturally from her excitement. With the food in the oven, Evelyn turned her attention to the dining room. She set the table with their finest china and crystal glasses, items usually reserved for the most special occasions. She placed a simple, elegant floral arrangement in the center of the table and lit a few candles to create a warm, romantic glow. Evelyn glanced at the clock. There was still time before Oliver would be home, so she hurried upstairs to get ready. She slipped into the delicate lace nightgown she had bought, feeling both beautiful and hopeful. As a final touch, she added a hint of her favorite perfume. When everything was finally ready, Evelyn took a deep breath and waited. The anticipation made her heart race. She knew that this night would be one they would remember forever. Finally, she heard the sound of Oliver's car pulling into the driveway. She rushed to the door to greet him, her excitement barely contained. "Hey, honey," Oliver called out as he stepped inside. "Something smells amazing." Evelyn met him at the door with a warm smile. "Hi, love. I made your favorite dinner. I wanted to do something special for you." Oliver looked pleasantly surprised. "Wow, this is incredible, Evelyn. You didn't have to go through all this trouble." "It's no trouble at all," she said, taking his hand and leading him to the dining room. As they sat down to eat, Oliver couldn't stop praising the meal. "This is delicious, Evelyn. You've really outdone yourself." Evelyn smiled, watching him enjoy his food. Her heart swelled with love and anticipation. She couldn't wait to share her secret. After dinner, Evelyn handed Oliver a small, wrapped box. "I have a little gift for you," she said, her voice trembling slightly with excitement. Oliver raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "A gift? What's the occasion?" "Just open it," Evelyn urged, her heart pounding in her chest. Oliver carefully unwrapped the box, lifting the lid to reveal the tiny baby booties nestled inside. His eyes widened in surprise, and he looked up at Evelyn, his mouth open in disbelief. "Evelyn. Are you?" he stammered, his voice filled with hope and amazement. "Yes," she said, tears of joy streaming down her face. "I'm pregnant, Oliver. We're going to have a baby." For a moment, Oliver was speechless. Then a huge smile spread across his face. He jumped up from his chair and pulled Evelyn into a tight embrace, lifting her off the ground and spinning her around. "We're having a baby," he exclaimed, his voice filled with joy. "I can't believe it. This is the best news ever." Evelyn laughed through her tears, holding him close. "I know, I'm so happy." Oliver put her down and cupped her face in his hands, looking into her eyes with pure love. "You're going to be the best mom, Evelyn. I'm so excited for our future." They spent the rest of the evening talking excitedly about their plans for the baby. They discussed names, nursery ideas, and all the things they wanted to do as a family. It was a night filled with love, hope, and the promise of a beautiful future together. As they finally went to bed, Oliver wrapped his arms around Evelyn and whispered, "Thank you for this incredible gift, Evelyn. I love you so much." Evelyn snuggled closer to him, feeling his warmth and love. "I love you too, Oliver. Our life is about to get even more amazing." And with that, they drifted off to sleep, dreaming of the wonderful life that awaited them. The morning after their magical evening, Evelyn woke up with a smile still plastered on her face. The previous night felt like a dream. She lay in bed for a few moments, basking in the warmth of Oliver's embrace and the excitement of their future. But her peaceful morning was soon interrupted by the sound of her phone buzzing insistently on the nightstand. Evelyn frowned and reached for her phone. It was Penelope. Evelyn's heart sank slightly. Penelope rarely called this early, and when she did, it usually meant something was wrong. "Hey," Penelope, Evelyn answered, trying to keep her voice light. "Evelyn, I need to see you." "It's really important." Penelope's voice was tense, almost frantic. Evelyn sat up, her worry growing. "What's going on? Are you okay?" "I can't talk about it over the phone. Can you meet me at the cafe near your place?" In about 30 minutes, Penelope's tone left no room for argument. Evelyn glanced at the clock. It was still early, and Oliver was sound asleep beside her. She sighed, knowing she couldn't ignore her friend's urgent plea. "Okay, I'll be there," she said, her concern evident. "Just hang in there, Penelope. I'll see you soon." Evelyn ended the call and gently shook Oliver's shoulder. "Honey, I need to go out for a bit. Penelope needs to talk to me. It sounds important." Oliver groggily opened his eyes and looked at her with a sleepy smile. "Is everything okay?" "I'm not sure." She sounded pretty upset, Evelyn replied, slipping out of bed and grabbing her clothes. "I'll let you know what's going on as soon as I can." "All right, be careful," Oliver said, sitting up and kissing her on the forehead. "Love you." "Love you too," Evelyn whispered, feeling a pang of worry mixed with the lingering joy from the night before. Evelyn quickly got dressed and headed out. The drive to the cafe was filled with anxious thoughts. What could be so urgent that Penelope needed to see her immediately? Evelyn's mind raced with possibilities, each one more worrying than the last. When she arrived at the cafe, she saw Penelope already seated at a corner table, staring into a cup of coffee. Evelyn hurried over, her heart pounding with concern. "Penelope, what's going on?" Evelyn asked, sliding into the seat across from her friend. "You sounded so urgent on the phone." Penelope looked up, her eyes red and puffy from crying. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "Evelyn, there's something I need to tell you. And it's not going to be easy." Evelyn reached across the table and squeezed Penelope's hand. "Whatever it is, we'll get through it together. Just tell me." Penelope looked down at their hands, her voice trembling. "I'm pregnant, Evelyn." Evelyn's eyes widened in surprise. "Penelope, that's amazing. Congratulations. Who's the father?" Penelope hesitated, then looked Evelyn straight in the eyes, her expression pained. "It's Oliver. He's the father." The words hung in the air, and for a moment, Evelyn couldn't breathe. She felt like the ground had been pulled out from under her. "What?" "Penelope, that's not funny." "I'm not joking," Evelyn, Penelope said, her voice breaking. "Oliver and I have been seeing each other. It's been going on for months. He proposed to me last night. We're going to get married." Evelyn's mind was reeling. No, this can't be true. Oliver would never. Penelope cut her off, her face a mix of guilt and desperation. "I'm so sorry, Evelyn. I never meant for this to happen. But it did, and now I'm pregnant with his child." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. She pulled her hand away, feeling a surge of anger and betrayal. "How could you do this to me, Penelope? You're my best friend." Penelope's eyes filled with tears as well. "I know, and I hate myself for it, but Oliver and I, we fell in love. He's been staying with you out of pity. He didn't want to hurt you." Evelyn stood up abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I need to go," she said, her voice shaking. "I can't deal with this right now." Penelope reached out to her, but Evelyn stepped back, shaking her head. "Don't touch me, just stay away from me." With that, Evelyn turned and fled the cafe, her mind a whirlwind of pain and confusion. As she drove back home, her thoughts raced. How could Oliver betray her like this? How could Penelope, her best friend, do something so cruel? By the time she pulled into the driveway, Evelyn was sobbing uncontrollably. She needed answers. She needed to confront Oliver and understand how everything had gone so horribly wrong. Evelyn took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and steeled herself for what was sure to be the most difficult conversation of her life. She walked into the house, her heart heavy with dread, determined to face the truth. Evelyn sat in the car for a few moments, trying to compose herself. Her hands were shaking, and her mind was a storm of emotions. She couldn't believe what Penelope just told her. The betrayal cut deep, and she felt a mixture of anger, sadness, and disbelief. She took a few deep breaths, wiped her tears, and finally mustered the courage to go inside. As she entered the house, she found Oliver in the kitchen, cleaning up from breakfast. He looked up and smiled when he saw her, but his smile faltered when he saw the expression on her face. "Evelyn, what's wrong?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. Evelyn felt her heart pound in her chest. She had to know the truth. "We need to talk, Oliver. Now." Oliver set down the dish he was holding and walked over to her, his brow furrowed. "What happened?" "You're scaring me." Evelyn took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "I just met with Penelope. She told me something ... something unbelievable." Oliver's face paled, and he looked away, his jaw tightening. "What did she tell you?" Evelyn's eyes filled with tears again. "She said she's pregnant, and that you're the father. She said you've been seeing each other for months, and that you proposed to her last night. Is it true, Oliver?" Oliver's shoulders sagged, and he closed his eyes, taking a deep breath before he spoke. "Yes, Evelyn. It's true." Evelyn felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. She staggered back, leaning against the counter for support. "How could you do this to me, Oliver? After everything we've been through, after everything we've planned." "I didn't mean for it to happen," Oliver said, his voice filled with regret. "I never wanted to hurt you. But Penelope and I ... we just connected. It was never supposed to go this far." Evelyn's anger flared. "Connected? You were married to me. We were trying to have a baby together. How could you betray me like this?" Oliver looked down, unable to meet her eyes. "I know, and I'm so sorry. But things changed, Evelyn. We changed. I didn't want to hurt you, but I fell in love with Penelope." Evelyn felt a fresh wave of pain. "So what? You're just going to leave me? After all these years, you're throwing everything away?" Oliver looked up, his eyes filled with sadness. "I don't want to, but I have to. Penelope's pregnant, and I need to be there for her. For our child." Evelyn shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "And what about our child, Oliver? I'm pregnant too." Oliver's eyes widened in shock. "What? Evelyn, are you serious?" "Yes, I found out yesterday. I was going to surprise you with the news last night," Evelyn said, her voice breaking. "But now ... know what to do." Oliver looked torn, guilt and confusion etched across his face. "I ... I don't know what to say, Evelyn. This changes everything." Evelyn took a step back, feeling a mixture of despair and determination. "You've already made your choice, Oliver. You chose Penelope. You chose to betray me. But I'm going to be strong for our child. I don't need you. We don't need you." Oliver reached out, but Evelyn stepped back, her eyes blazing with anger and hurt. "Don't. Just don't. You've done enough." Evelyn turned and walked away, her heart shattered but her resolve firm. She knew she had a long road ahead, but she was determined to face it head-on. She had her unborn child to think about now, and she would do whatever it took to protect and provide for them. As she closed the door behind her, Evelyn felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. The life she had known was over, but a new chapter was beginning. One where she would have to find her own strength and courage to move forward. Evelyn sat in her car outside the house, tears streaming down her face. She felt completely and utterly shattered. How could her world fall apart so quickly? She had to pull herself together for the sake of her unborn child. She wiped her tears and drove to her sister Sarah's house, needing the comfort and support only family could provide. When she arrived, Sarah opened the door and immediately saw the distress on Evelyn's face. "Oh my God, Evelyn, what happened?" she asked, pulling her sister into a tight hug. Evelyn broke down, sobbing into Sarah's shoulder. "It's Oliver. And Penelope. They've been seeing each other. She's pregnant, and he's leaving me for her." Sarah's eyes widened in shock and anger. "That bastard. And Penelope? How could she do this to you?" I don't know, Evelyn sobbed. I thought she was my best friend. I thought Oliver loved me. Sarah led her inside and sat her down on the couch. You're staying here, okay? As long as you need. We'll get through this together. Evelyn nodded, grateful for her sister's support. Thank you, Sarah. I don't know what I'd do without you. You don't have to do this alone, Sarah said firmly. We'll figure everything out. Over the next few days, Evelyn started to pick up the pieces of her shattered life. She filed for divorce, seeking the advice of a lawyer to ensure her rights and her baby's future were protected. Oliver tried to contact her several times, but she ignored his calls. She needed time to heal and process everything. One afternoon, while she was sorting through some old photos, her phone buzzed with a message from Penelope. Evelyn's heart sank, but she felt a surge of anger and decided to read it. Evelyn, I'm so sorry for everything. I never wanted to hurt you. I hope one day you can forgive me. Penelope. Evelyn stared at the message, her emotions a turbulent mix of anger, sadness and betrayal. She couldn't deal with Penelope right now. She deleted the message and blocked her number. She needed to focus on herself and her baby. Sarah came into the room, seeing the look on Evelyn's face. Everything okay? Penelope texted me, Evelyn said, her voice tinged with bitterness. She's sorry. Can you believe that? Sarah shook her head, sitting beside Evelyn. Some people. You don't have to deal with her, Evelyn. Focus on yourself and the baby. Evelyn nodded, taking a deep breath. You're right. I need to move forward. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, Evelyn began to rebuild her life. She joined a support group for single mothers, finding solace in the stories of other women who had faced similar betrayals. She started seeing a therapist who helped her navigate the complex emotions of her situation. One evening, after a particularly uplifting support group meeting, Evelyn returned to Sarah's house feeling a bit lighter. She found Sarah in the kitchen, preparing dinner. How was the meeting? Sarah asked, handing Evelyn a cup of tea. It was good, Evelyn replied, smiling slightly. It helps to know I'm not alone. There are other women who've been through worse and come out stronger. Sarah smiled back. And you will too, Evelyn. You already are. As the months passed, Evelyn grew stronger and more independent. She started taking prenatal yoga classes, which helped her relax and connect with her growing baby. She decorated a small nursery in Sarah's spare room, painting the walls a soft, soothing green. One day, as she was setting up the crib, she felt the baby kick for the first time. Evelyn's heart swelled with love and hope. She placed her hand on her belly, tears of joy filling her eyes. Hey there, little one, she whispered. We're going to be okay. I promise. Evelyn knew there would still be difficult days ahead, but she felt a renewed sense of purpose and strength. She had her baby to look forward to, and with the support of her sister and newfound friends, she knew she could handle whatever came her way. The journey ahead was uncertain, but Evelyn was determined to face it with courage and grace. She was no longer just surviving, she was preparing to thrive, for herself and for her child. Evelyn had avoided Oliver's calls and messages for weeks, focusing on her own healing and preparing for the baby. But she knew she couldn't avoid him forever. They needed to talk, to confront everything that had happened, and to find some way to move forward. One sunny Saturday afternoon, she decided it was time. She called Oliver and asked him to meet her at a nearby park. It was a place they used to go to when they first started dating, a place filled with memories. Maybe, she thought, it would help them have a civil conversation. Evelyn arrived first and sat on a bench near the pond, watching the ducks glide across the water. Her heart was heavy with anxiety, but she was determined to face this head-on. A few minutes later, she saw Oliver approaching. He looked tired and worn, and her heart ached despite everything. Hi, Evelyn, he said softly, sitting down beside her. Hi, Oliver, she replied, keeping her voice steady. Thank you for meeting me. Oliver nodded, looking down at his hands. I'm glad you called. We need to talk. Evelyn took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. Yes, we do. I've had some time to think, and I need to understand why. Why did you do this to us? Oliver sighed deeply. I don't know where to start. I'm so sorry, Evelyn. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, Evelyn said, her voice shaking. You broke my heart, Oliver. You and Penelope. How could you? I don't have a good excuse, Oliver admitted. It just happened. Penelope and I started spending time together, and one thing led to another. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. You didn't mean for it to go this far? We were trying to have a baby, Oliver. We were building a life together. And you threw it all away. Oliver looked up, his eyes filled with guilt. I know. I was a coward. I should have ended things with you before starting something with her. But I was scared. Scared of hurting you. Scared of being alone. Evelyn wiped her tears, trying to stay strong. And now Penelope's pregnant, and so am I. What are we supposed to do now? Oliver looked pained. I want to be there for both of you. I know I've messed up, but I want to support you and the baby. Evelyn shook her head. It's too late for that, Oliver. You made your choice. You chose Penelope. I'm going to raise this baby on my own. Oliver reached out to touch her hand, but Evelyn pulled away. Please, Evelyn. Let's try to work something out. For the baby's sake. For the baby's sake, we need to move on, Evelyn said firmly. I'll figure things out on my own. You need to focus on Penelope and your child with her. Oliver's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, Evelyn. I know I've lost your trust and I don't deserve your forgiveness. But please know that I regret everything. I still care about you. Evelyn stood up, feeling a mixture of sorrow and relief. I need to go, Oliver. Take care of yourself. And take care of your new family. As she walked away, Evelyn felt a sense of closure. It wasn't the ending she had hoped for, but it was the ending she needed. She had faced the truth and found the strength to move forward. Back at Sarah's house, Evelyn sat down with her sister and told her everything. It's over, Sarah. I talked to Oliver. We're going our separate ways. Sarah hugged her tightly. I'm proud of you, Evelyn. You're so strong. Evelyn smiled through her tears. I have to be. For the baby. And for myself. In the weeks that followed, Evelyn continued to focus on her pregnancy and her own well-being. She started taking prenatal classes and reading books about motherhood. She found comfort in the small moments, feeling her baby move and imagining the future they would have together. One evening, as she was lying in bed, she felt a strong kick. She placed her hand on her belly and smiled. We're going to be okay, little one. We're going to be just fine. Evelyn knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face it with courage and resilience. She had confronted the truth and emerged stronger. Now, she was ready to embrace the future, one step at a time. Evelyn woke up to the soft morning light filtering through the curtains in Sarah's guest room. It had been weeks since she'd moved in, and she was slowly starting to feel more like herself again. Every day was a little easier, every tear shed brought a little more healing. She knew she had to be strong, not just for herself but for her baby. The aroma of fresh coffee wafted through the house as she made her way downstairs. Sarah was in the kitchen, flipping pancakes and humming a tune. Good morning, sleepyhead Sarah greeted with a smile. How did you sleep? Better, thanks, Evelyn replied, taking a seat at the table. I've been thinking about getting back to work. I need to start planning for the future. Sarah nodded approvingly. That's a great idea. Keeping busy will help. Have you thought about what you want to do? Evelyn took a sip of her coffee, savouring its warmth. I think I want to start my own business. Maybe something small, like a boutique. It's always been a dream of mine. Sarah beamed. That sounds perfect. You've always had a great sense of style. Plus, it'll give you the flexibility to be there for the baby. They spent the morning brainstorming ideas for the boutique. Evelyn felt a spark of excitement she hadn't felt in months. She could see a future where she and her baby were happy and thriving. Later that day, Evelyn attended her support group meeting. The group had become a lifeline for her, a place where she could share her fears and triumphs with other women who understood her pain. The group leader, Lisa, welcomed her with a warm hug. "How are you feeling today, Evelyn?" "Better," Evelyn said, smiling. "I'm starting to make plans. It feels good to have something to look forward to." The other women in the group nodded in agreement. They spent the next hour sharing stories and offering each other advice and encouragement. By the end of the meeting, Evelyn felt a renewed sense of strength. After the meeting, Lisa approached her. "You've come a long way, Evelyn. I'm really proud of you." "Thanks, Lisa. I couldn't have done it without all of you," Evelyn replied, feeling grateful for the support. As she drove home, Evelyn felt a sense of determination. She was going to make a new life for herself and her baby. She called a realtor the next day and started looking for a small space to rent for her boutique. She also began taking online business courses to learn the ins and outs of running her own shop. One afternoon, while she was browsing through potential locations, her phone rang. It was her lawyer. "Hi, Evelyn. I wanted to give you an update on the divorce proceedings," he said. "Oliver has agreed to all the terms. You'll receive spousal support and child support once the baby is born. He's also agreed to your request for full custody." Evelyn let out a sigh of relief. "Thank you." "That's good to hear." "It's the least he can do," her lawyer replied. "You're doing great, Evelyn. Keep it up." After the call, Evelyn felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. She called Sarah to share the news. "That's fantastic," Sarah exclaimed. "I'm so happy for you." "Thanks, Sarah. I couldn't have done this without you," Evelyn said, her voice filled with gratitude. Weeks turned into months, and Evelyn's boutique started to take shape. She found a charming little space downtown and spent her days decorating and stocking it with carefully chosen items. Sarah helped her every step of the way, and they often stayed up late into the night, chatting and laughing as they worked. One evening, as they were putting the finishing touches on a display, Evelyn felt a sharp kick. She placed her hand on her belly and smiled. "The baby's really active tonight." Sarah grinned. "I think they're excited about the boutique too." Evelyn laughed. "Maybe. I hope they like it as much as I do." Opening day arrived, and Evelyn felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She looked around the boutique, proud of what she had accomplished. The shop was bright and inviting, filled with beautiful clothes and accessories. As the first customers walked in, Evelyn felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't felt in a long time. She greeted them with a warm smile, eager to share her passion with the world. By the end of the day, the boutique was a success. Evelyn sat down with Sarah, exhausted but happy. "We did it," Evelyn said, tears of joy in her eyes. "We really did it." Sarah hugged her tightly. "You did it, Evelyn. You're amazing." As Evelyn looked around her new shop, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. She had picked up the pieces of her life and built something beautiful. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them, one day at a time. That night, as she lay in bed, Evelyn placed her hand on her belly and whispered, "We're going to be just fine, little one. We've got a bright future ahead." And for the first time in a long time, she truly believed it. Evelyn's boutique had been open for a few months now, and business was steadily growing. Each day brought new challenges and rewards, and Evelyn was thriving in her new role as a business owner. The community had embraced her shop, and she had made many new friends and loyal customers. One crisp autumn morning, Evelyn was arranging a display of cozy scarves and gloves when the doorbell chimed, signaling a customer. She looked up and saw a familiar face. "Good morning, Mrs. Thompson," Evelyn greeted warmly. Mrs. Thompson was one of her first customers and had become a regular visitor. "Good morning, Evelyn. How are you and the baby doing, Mrs. Thompson asked, her eyes twinkling. "We're doing great. Thank you. The baby's been kicking up a storm lately," Evelyn replied, patting her growing belly. That's wonderful to hear. You look radiant, Mrs. Thompson said with a smile. Thank you. Can I help you find anything today? Evelyn asked. I'm looking for a warm scarf for my daughter. She's visiting from out of town and forgot to pack one, Mrs. Thompson explained. Evelyn guided her to the new scarf display. These just came in. They're super soft and warm. As Mrs. Thompson browsed the scarves, the doorbell chimed again. This time it was Lisa, the leader of Evelyn's support group. Hey, Evelyn. The shop looks fantastic as always, Lisa said, giving her a hug. Thanks, Lisa. It's so good to see you. How have you been? Evelyn asked. I've been good. I actually have some exciting news, Lisa said, her eyes sparkling. I'm starting a new job next month. It's a big step up for me. That's amazing. Congratulations, Evelyn said, genuinely happy for her friend. Thanks. I've been inspired by you, you know. Seeing you start this business and make it a success gave me the push I needed to go for it, Lisa admitted. Evelyn felt a surge of pride and gratitude. I'm so glad to hear that. You deserve all the success in the world. As the day went on, Evelyn reflected on how far she had come. She thought about the dark days after Oliver's betrayal and how lost and broken she had felt. Now, her life was filled with purpose and joy. She had built something beautiful out of the ashes of her old life. That evening, after closing the shop, Evelyn headed home. Sarah had prepared a delicious dinner, and they sat down together, chatting about their day. You know, I ran into Lisa today, Evelyn said as she took a bite of her lasagna. She's starting a new job next month. That's great news. I'm so happy for her, Sarah replied. And how was your day at the shop? It was wonderful. Mrs. Thompson came by and we had a lovely chat. And the sales have been really good lately, Evelyn said, feeling content. You've done such an amazing job, Evelyn. I'm so proud of you, Sarah said, reaching across the table to squeeze her sister's hand. Thanks, Sarah. I couldn't have done it without you, Evelyn said, her eyes filling with gratitude. Later that night, Evelyn lay in bed, feeling the baby move inside her. She thought about the future, about the life she was building for herself and her child. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but she also knew she had the strength to face them. As she drifted off to sleep, Evelyn felt a sense of peace and anticipation. She was ready for whatever came next. Evelyn's journey had been one of heartache, betrayal, and ultimately triumph. She had faced unimaginable challenges and come out stronger on the other side. The boutique was thriving, and she had built a supportive community around her. She was surrounded by friends and family who loved her and supported her every step of the way. As her due date approached, Evelyn felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She knew that becoming a mother would be the biggest challenge yet, but she also knew it would be the most rewarding. The day finally arrived, and Evelyn welcomed a beautiful baby girl into the world. She named her Hope, a symbol of the bright future they would share. Holding Hope in her arms, Evelyn felt a surge of love and determination. She knew that no matter what happened, they would be okay. She had faced her darkest fears and emerged stronger than ever. Now, she was ready to embrace the future, one filled with endless possibilities and the promise of new beginnings. As Evelyn looked into her daughter's eyes, she whispered, "We did it, little one. We're going to be just fine." And for the first time in a long time, Evelyn felt truly at peace. She had found her strength, her purpose, and most importantly, her hope. The future was bright, and she was ready to embrace it with open arms. A year had passed since Evelyn welcomed her daughter, Hope, into the world. The past year had been filled with sleepless nights, countless diaper changes, and more joy than Evelyn ever thought possible. Hope had become the center of her universe, a bright light that made all the struggles worthwhile. Evelyn's boutique had continued to thrive. The shop had become a beloved part of the community, and Evelyn had built strong relationships with her customers. Every day brought new challenges, but Evelyn faced them with a resilience she never knew she had. One sunny afternoon, Evelyn sat in the shop's small office, balancing the books while Hope napped peacefully in a playpen nearby. The soft murmur of customers browsing the store provided a comforting backdrop. The doorbell chimed, and Sarah walked in, her face lighting up when she saw Evelyn and Hope. "Hey sis, how are my two favourite girls doing today?" "Hey," Sarah Evelyn greeted, standing up to give her sister a hug. "We're doing great. Hope just went down for her nap, and I'm catching up on some paperwork." Sarah glanced at Hope, who was sleeping soundly, and smiled. She's getting so big. It's hard to believe she's already a year old. "I know, it's crazy," Evelyn agreed, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. "It feels like just yesterday she was a tiny newborn." Sarah sat down at the small table in the office. "You've done an amazing job, Evelyn. With Hope, with the boutique, with everything. I'm so proud of you." "Thanks, Sarah. I couldn't have done it without you," Evelyn said sincerely. "You've been my rock through all of this." Sarah waved her hand dismissively. "You give me too much credit. You're the one who picked up the pieces and made a new life for yourself. You're incredible." Evelyn felt a warm rush of gratitude. "I've learned a lot about myself over the past year. I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought possible, and that I can handle whatever life throws at me." As they chatted, a familiar face walked into the shop. It was Lisa, the leader of the support group that had been so instrumental in Evelyn's healing process. "Lisa. What a nice surprise," Evelyn called out, waving her over. Lisa smiled and walked up to the office. "Hi, Evelyn. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by. How are you?" "I'm good, really good," Evelyn replied. "The shop is doing well and Hope is growing like a weed. How about you?" "I'm doing great, thanks. I actually have some news. I've been offered a new position at work, and it's a big step up," Lisa said, her excitement evident. "That's fantastic. Congratulations," Lisa Evelyn exclaimed. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without the support of this amazing group of women. And seeing you build this beautiful life for yourself has been so inspiring," Lisa said. Evelyn felt a surge of pride and gratitude. "Thank you, Lisa. That means a lot." Later that evening, after closing up the shop, Evelyn and Sarah sat on the porch of Sarah's house, watching the sunset while Hope played with her toys. "I was thinking," Sarah began, "have you ever considered expanding the boutique? Maybe opening another location?" Evelyn looked thoughtful. "I've thought about it. It would be a big step, but I think I'm ready for it. I want to keep growing, keep challenging myself." Sarah nodded. "You have a great head for business, Evelyn, and you have so much passion for what you do. I think you could make it work." Evelyn smiled. "You know what? I think you're right. I've come so far and there's no reason to stop now." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Evelyn felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. She had faced her darkest days and come out stronger on the other side. She had built a life filled with love, purpose, and hope. And she knew that whatever the future held, she was ready to embrace it with open arms. She looked over at Hope, who was giggling as she played with a stuffed animal, and felt a swell of love and determination. "We're going to be just fine, little one. We've got a bright future ahead." And with that, Evelyn knew that she had truly found resilience and renewal. Her journey had been difficult, but it had also been incredibly rewarding. She was ready to face whatever came next, with hope and courage guiding her every step of the way. Let us know in the comments how this story has inspired you, or share your own experiences of overcoming adversity. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories like this one. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest uploads. Your journey through the complexities of the human heart starts now. Remember, your story isn't over yet. It's just a new chapter beginning. Stay strong, stay inspired.